What's up, everybody? SavagetoSage here. Before we get started, as always, be sure and like and subscribe if you find the information in here helpful. I want to talk a little bit about relationships today and what our expectations are right from the beginning of a relationship. I do not believe that the majority of people spend enough time communicating what their wants and expectations are in a relationship at the very beginning. You can say, well, that's okay, I want it to be more real, more organic, and it can't really be that way if I'm having to bring this conversation up and go over it kind of like a playlist or a grocery list of sorts for what my expectations are. But the truth of the matter is, it is extremely important. It's an invaluable process that most people overlook. And then, when they get into the relationship a few months in, or for some people it doesn't take a few months. Some people it's a few weeks. Some people it's longer. Some people it's a year, 2 years, whatever. They get into it and then they go, oh shit, this is not exactly what I had in mind. Under normal circumstances in life, your ability to adapt to things is very important. And it's important in a relationship too. But there are core values and core principles that people have, and they're spoken or unspoken. And where we run into the problem is that a lot of times with women, what we see is that women will enter into a relationship knowing that a man has certain values and certain standards that he wants to live by. They're cool with that in the beginning. Fast forward a few months or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, I presented myself to be this certain way, or have this value system that was in agreement with yours, but now I changed my mind. Now I want to live another type of way. And they're shocked whenever the man doesn't want to change that about himself. You got to really process that and understand the differences, subtle and non-subtle differences between men and women, especially when it comes to communicating about relationships. They're night and day in most situations. There are exceptions to the rule, but we're not talking about exceptions. We're talking about the generalized rule. But anyway, I personally had a conversation with somebody recently in which they were in a relationship, or are in, I'm assuming they're still in it, and they established their guidelines and their boundaries right from the beginning. Like, he said to her, this is my belief system, this is what I choose to model my life upon. And she said, okay, I agree with all those values, we're in agreement, same. And then as it turned out, they fast forwarded a few months, and I could go over different reasoning as to why I believe she changed up on him. But the point is that she changed up in a small way. It was subtle. According to what he said, it wasn't as if she had perpetrated some big act of betrayal that was going to lead him into, complete distrust of her, things of that nature. But long story short, she said, I like this and you like the same thing, so we're going to make this work. Then she changed her mind on certain principles that he held as deep-seated value systems. And as a result of that, there became a big disconnect in the conversation that he tried to have with her. The conversation was essentially, she was viewing it as an attack. And it wasn't an attack on her personally. I believe that his explanation to her was on point in the fact that he made clear to her, look, when we got together, we built a foundation on certain principles. And those principles, I expect you to uphold, because that was the agreement. That was the agreement. And she was beside herself with, feelings of being attacked. He wasn't necessarily attacking her on a personal level. It wasn't personal at all. It was, hey, this was our foundation. Now you're wanting to uproot the foundation and turn it into something else. This is what's causing an issue. That can all be avoided if people communicate properly in the beginning of a relationship as to what their standards are, their standards of value. Okay? So what I'm saying is, for me personally, I might say I prefer conservative women. I prefer a conservative woman. I don't prefer a woman who dresses provocatively, or who thinks it's appropriate to walk around with her chest out, or in her leggings that aren't pants. That's why they're called leggings. Pants are called pants. Leggings are called leggings. So I believe that there's a difference, and I prefer to date a woman who has embraced a more traditional and conservative look, rather than someone who wants to be eye candy for the opposite sex. It's good that you want to be attractive, and there's a time and a place for leggings and for lingerie and things like that. There's a time and a place for that kind of stuff with your partner, and that's my viewpoint. Now, does that mean that a female who comes along, that she's quote unquote wronged for believing that she should wear a sports bra and leggings to go grocery shopping? No, it doesn't mean she's wrong. It just means she's wrong for me, and I'm wrong for her. And I could get into the masculine and feminine roles on this and really take it in depth, and maybe something I will pursue in a later video. But for right now, the point of the matter is what I'm focusing on, of we have to set a standard for what we view as our values, and we have to communicate that properly to our partner so that we can avoid surprise problems, surprise interactions, surprise troubles. All of this stuff is avoidable given that communication is placed as a top priority, and respect. Respect should be the number one first ground layer that your relationship is established on, if you are a man especially. All right? You can build love through experiences, but respect is where you want it to be established at the base level. Now, with me having those conservative type values in the way that I would want my significant other to dress and behave in public, if I communicate that properly, and whomever I enter into a relationship with knows that ahead of time, okay, this is a man I'm messing with. This is not a punk. This is not a boy. Like, this is a man, and this man has made clear to me his value system, what he holds near and dear, and that these are non-negotiables. You know, if you have to write this stuff down in the beginning stages of conversation for your relationship, then you should do that. You should do that. Whatever it takes to clear up any misconceptions between the two of you. But if I communicate these things properly right from the beginning, and 3 months in, 4 months in, 6 months in, a year in, she decides that, well, she's not going to dress that way anymore because Sally, Susie, and Becky all dress a different way, and that's what Chad likes to see her wear. Well, we're having a problem. We're having a problem. So you laid out the rules of the game in the beginning, and then in the middle of the game, second quarter, third quarter, you decide to change the rules up and expect there to be no consequence to that. But there is a consequence for that type of stuff. You have to understand that what we choose to do or choose not to do affects not only ourselves, but also people who are in direct contact with us, direct relationships, whether it be a spouse or a partner or significant other. The point is if you cannot see yourself maintaining a certain type of mindset throughout the entirety of your relationship, then don't agree to that up front. Make clear that, yeah, I might see that that's an okay place for me to be at right now, but I don't see me always feeling that way. Okay, fine. No harm in saying that. It just means that perhaps the two of you are not meant for each other. If a man tells you, as a man, I value being faithful to you, and then they go and sleep with somebody else 3 months in, 6 months in, well, they changed the rules of the game. And you shouldn't be expected to stay with that man just because he got a wild hair up his ass and decided to do the wrong thing against the standard that he already set. So standards are very, very important. What we say is very important. Words matter. The context within which they're said matters. And by and large, this is ultimately the best way to prevent future misunderstandings. That's not to say that your relationship will, from that point forward, be a perfect relationship. It won't. But each person has to keep in their mind that the values that they've set forth and the standards that they've set forth need to be abided by. And if at some point they don't think that that's something they want to do, don't build another relationship with somebody else before you bail out on your partner. Your partner respected you enough to come to you with these standards from the beginning. So don't do them that way. Instead, have the conversation. Hey, people change, and that's true. People do change. But at their core, their value systems usually don't. So if they were a shitbag to start with, they were just hiding it in order to present themselves as a certain way to you in order to gain your trust and your love, then they'll be a shitbag 6 months in whenever they decide that that part of them no longer is needing to be out there, so to speak. So anyways, that's my thought. Don't forget to like and subscribe. SavagetoSage, STS. Share this content if you think it is useful and will find the right home with somebody you know. And questions or comments or concerns that you may have, feel free to post those, and I will do my best to respond to them in a timely manner. Until next time, YouTube.